loser, I'm a bloom.
Get down.
Let me clear my throat. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got your underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. That game plan, show out like a jotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the country squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation.
Happy Juneteenth to you all. What's good, Bravo Nation? It is good to see you all. I hope you've had an amazing day, a wonderful week, and you are ready to get into some great conversation on this evening. We are excited. So tonight I'm going to do things a little bit differently because I have a special guest that I do not want to delay getting up in here. And y'all bear with me because my son came in my house and apparently a fly came in here with him that seems to be want to be a part of the show. So if you see me waving and stuff, don't think nothing's wrong. I'm not having a medical emergency. I'm just having a fight with a fly because I cannot put him on my taxes, and anything I can't claim can't stay. Right. So on tonight, I'm your girl, Lady Dawn B. Welcome to Thursday night on the Bravo with Sheila Network here on YouTube. I hope you guys are doing great. And so my special guest tonight, because I want to get right into it. These past 2 weeks have been awesome. We had Melvin Phillips on. We had Justin Wilson on. And tonight, he is no stranger to the Bravo with Sheila Network. He is my dear brother, a very good friend, someone who I count amongst God's very, very best. And I'm so glad that I can call him a part of my team, my people that I know. And he is awesome. I want to get into it because I had to borrow him on tonight for this conversation. So I don't want anyone to feel slighted. You know the rules here. Our number one rule is always what? Respect. We are open to everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. But what we do want to do is do so respectfully. So if at any time disrespect is found, whether it be on the platform or in the comments, you will be escorted out quite quickly and abruptly by none other than the greatest moderator to ever do it in these YouTube streets. That's right. She is our girl. She is the best. There's none else like her. But Enia Kenya, she's in the building with us on tonight, as always, in this comment section. Y'all don't pay me no mind. I'm trying to get my life together. And so, yeah, it is what it is. So we're just going to leave. Let this do what it does. All right. So Ine is in the building. And yeah, let's not have her push that button because she's quick with the trigger finger. So with that being said, we want to welcome everyone into the building, and I'm going to bring my brother up in a quick moment. We have his other half, the partner of his life, Lady Zinja Key Bloomfield in the building. She says good evening to all. Let's see, we got Juneteenth, and they say happy Juneteenth to everyone. We got none other than the Queen Bee of the Bravo with Sheila Network in the house, in the person of my auntie Bravo, Pastor Sheila Ingram. She says sending love, blessings in the building. Come on, Lady Z, talk about it. We had my man. That's right. And while we talking about her man, I am going to bring him up while we are introducing, and I'm kind of speeding through the intro, like I said, because we had to borrow him tonight, and he has his own podcast that he will be on tonight. And so I want to be able to get as much of conversation in with him as we can. So guys, welcome to the platform, and don't worry, we'll get to you everybody later, don't worry, but welcome to the platform tonight, my brother, the Gregory Bloomfield in the building. What's happened, brethren?
Wagwan. How are you? Happy
Juneteenth to everybody in Bravo Nation. It's good to be back on the show.
We are excited to have you here. That's right. Wagwan. For y'all don't know, he is my favorite Jamaican, Canadian, Jamaican. He is my brother. You know, he's the Jamaican, not bringing the Bajan. We sweet fire together. Don't matter. We good. We hail it. We represent our places. And speaking of representing on tonight, I'm glad to have him. He was on before talking about his book, The 522 Man. I'm trying to get it in the circle the right way. There we go. I think we got it right. If you don't have it, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good. I just had to make sure that I'm good. I'm not pointing to the wall.
Okay.
Pointing to the book.
If you don't have it, go get it, because tonight's topic is, what kind of man are you? You know, all month long we've been talking to the men, and we've been honoring our men. We've been celebrating our men. We have been chatting with our men, trying to be supportive and learn more about how we can be there for you and try to dispel some of these myths that go on about man and manhood. And this topic came about because I keep hearing the comment of, we make, how you say, a real man would, and, what a real man does. And when a real man comes into your life, really? So let's talk about, what kind of man are you and what dictates a real man? So I want to leave space for Gregory to come on number one and tell us how we can get this amazing book.
Well, thank you once again for having me. The book, 522 Man, has been a blessing. It's been out for I want to say a year and a half now. And you can get the book from our website, which is sisterpamelapublishing.com. That's, I'll spell it, SISTERPAMELLA publishing, PUBLISHING.com. If my wife could kindly put it in the chat, that'd be great. Because I'm her man, and she's my lady. And you could get my book there, ebook and paperback. You can get, this shirt here, which we're just new branding. Be encouraged, be inspired, be motivated. That's the theme of our podcast. And other great books as well, like Rooted in Boldness for the ladies. That's my wife's book, and we have our other titles on there as well. But tonight we'll be talking about 522 Man. You can get that, and it will bless the man in your life, or it'll bless you as well. So check that out. I appreciate the support.
What I love is that this power couple does power things. And since you brought it up, because I happen to have hers right here too.
Yes.
I'm prepared. See what I'm saying? I'm prepared. See, so you can learn how to be rooted in boldness and celebrate your 522 man. See what I'm saying? This is how this works. It's team. Yeah. Come on, Team Bloomfield. Show them how it is done. And we're going to try to get them on over the summer, this power couple, and talk about their dynamic way of doing things. So, Gregory, tell me a little bit, or help us lead into this conversation. I know as the night goes on, we're going to bring the squad up, but I want to give you as much time to really talk about this book. And guys, it's in the chat how you can get it. I have had it for a minute, and Gregory and I were going through it at one point. I'm telling you, can't even, I got to bring him in sections because it's so good as we get into understanding. So tell us, how did the 522 Man come about, and what is it based in?
The concept came about from my divorce, actually. It's funny. God can pour into you at your lowest moments. And I really wanted to change my life. And, when you hit that point in your life when you have to reassess, why is my life like this? What is the meaning of life? And it got me into a study of God's word. And I just wanted to make a commitment in being a better man and looking in the mirror and seeing where I went wrong. And God just poured into my spirit when I was looking in the mirror. And when I mentioned this in the book, is that when I moved into my new place, And when I got the key and didn't have much furniture at the time and went into my place, and then you have that moment in your life, and every man has this moment in their life when you got to deal with you got no one to blame, but you got to look at yourself as to why your life is the way it is. And God just poured into me the concept of 522 man, and I just started writing. It was my first solo book. I wrote a chapter in another book through DFG Publishing, um, through Coffee Brown and others. Shout out to them.
Mhm.
And this book was basically God pouring into me that real manhood is the fruits of the spirit. So that's why the title 522 Man came about, because it really is a study of Galatians 5:22 and 23 from a man's perspective, which is the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, self control, all those kindness, all of those attributes. Where that's what makes up a true man, as being uh, in those 9 attributes.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. So, guys, you understand where this book came from, because it's always important for us to understand or know a little bit about why the author wrote this, so that we know how it will relate to our lives, so that we know what we can expect from it and what we can pull out of it. Not just that, but I'm sure there's things in here that maybe men have not considered, different avenues. Maybe you've never looked at the angle of governing your life as a man through the word of God. And if you have thought about it, it could also be, where do I start? How do I begin? And this book is a great tool to give you somewhere to start and to begin with, like he said, the fruits of the spirit, which are good for everyone. So, ladies, I encourage you to get this book too, because it can help you to complement your man. Get it for your son, get it for your nephew, for your uncle, for your husband, your brother, but get it for them all. He does go through the 9 fruits of the spirit, and I believe it is from, it's from a male perspective, dealing with the male side of, like you said, from your divorce, if I'm correct, right? And as a man, and that's something that a lot of men don't feel comfortable talking about. A lot of men are really silenced a whole lot more, I hate to say it, than women are. We feel like women's voices are not heard. But, here on Thursday nights at Lady Dawn B, our motto for the men's lounge is, something happens when men speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. It just popped up on my phone. Thank you for ordering a copy. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
ahead.
No, I
No?
was just going to say that I think one of the things one of my passions is men's ministries, and one of my passions is working and talking with different men, men pouring into me pouring into other men. And that's one of the things that we're doing this month at Motivation Moments on our channel. And one of the things that I would say is that men, in order to get healing and for men to get breakthrough, this is something I'm learning, is that you got to learn to talk. Like, one of the things that can cause generational curses with the men in your family is that people are afraid to talk about not just the good stuff, but also the bad, the things where I made mistakes, or the things that scare me, or and be honest, especially with your kids, because when you're honest with your children, they feel safe to be honest with you, right?
Good point.
So I think that's really important for us as men to recognize. And also, who had the greatest attributes of the fruits of the Spirit was Jesus himself. Jesus Christ is the ultimate guide of what manhood is. Jesus was not someone eating cream cheese, playing on a harp, insipid, weak, frail,
Right.
skinny. He was a man that had muscles of physical presence. His voice had presence, and he cried. So I often say, if Jesus wept, you can too, brother. And also, he protected and provided for the vulnerable. So those are things that, if you are more like Christ, you can't go wrong. right? So that's what we get into in this book.
And I think that's a really good example. And I do just want to say, while we're not a Christian based network on this side of the street, we welcome everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Again, we are here to glean from one another, but whatever your moral compass is, we are here, to listen to it and to grow together. Ours is God. So as you know, I say I'm a God's girl, so you're going to get a little Jesus every time you get me, so when you hear us speaking, we're sharing from what our moral compass is, but you can still glean from the principles of the word and the principles by which we choose to live. They will work as long as you work them, and then you make those other choices later. But I think that was really awesome what you said. Men do remain quiet, and it's sad that men feel often unheard and unrespected, not having safe places to share. And I think even, again, this book is a great place to start, maybe with men's groups in small, it doesn't have to be 25 people. Get 3 of your boys and let's sit down and dialogue. It has to start, I think, in small spaces. Women, we get together over all type of stuff. We get together over nail polish and, simple stuff. Men is a little different, and when you apply these things in books like these to your lives, it changes the type of man that you are. So tell me your thoughts on when you hear people make comments and statements like, what a real man is, and if I had a real man, or I'm looking for a real man. Like, does that bother you? Does it irritate you? Are you not bothered?
It depends who says it.
Okay.
Because I will say this, and this is not to berate my own gender, but good men are hard to find. I will say it. Good women are hard to find. Good people are hard to find, right? So I think one of the things that all you can do, your best shot in attracting good people or people with integrity and morals and character is that make sure you have it. I said, if you want to find somebody that has morals, character, integrity, then you have to make sure you have those things. Because as we all know, I didn't come from the streets or nothing like that. I'm a suburban guy from Canada. I often joke I'm as tough as Drake, and he's not tough. I think I think one of the things you have to recognize is that game recognizes game. And before you start criticizing other people and how they're acting, work on you. Be a committee of one. How is your integrity? How is your moral character? You want to be spiritual. What are you reading? If you're watching Housewives of Atlanta all day, or if you're watching just things that aren't going to benefit you in the long run, everybody likes to be entertained. But if all your life is succumb to what other people are doing and you're watching other people's pockets rather than making your own pockets bigger, then the problem is you, not them.
Right.
So I encourage people that want to, quote unquote, do the work. What are you reading? Are you working on your body? Are you working on your mind? Or what are you reading that's spiritual? What are you reading that's nonfiction? And also in this season, I've learned as a man, it's really important to have a tribe, to have accountability people, have friends. And I'm very reluctant using the word friend, because I have a lot of acquaintances, but I don't have a lot of friends. And that's by choice.
That
And I
part.
think one of the things is men need to have a tribe of men that will say, that will applaud you, that won't be jealous of you, but will also get in your behind when you're not doing right by your spouse or your kids or your career, and will hold you to your goals. So I think that's the definite. So to get back to your question, when you said, does it bother me when I hear somebody say, well, they're no good man or they're no good whatever. I don't get bothered by that. I get more piqued as to why do you think that way?
Mm.
And if you think that way and the reasons are just shallow and tepid, then you have no, the problem is no good man will want you anyway.
Right.
But sometimes when you're hurt or sometimes, and also define to me what a good man is. Is it just someone who pays bills? Is it someone who has a nice car? Is it someone that's going to spoil you? Is it someone who, like, what does that mean? So I think it's a loaded question that I get a little bit intrigued by the details behind that statement.
I can understand it, and I agree. Those are really good shares, and I hope that everyone is gleaning from them. Welcome to my brother Gregory Bloomfield. He is the author of The 522 Man. It is available. Go get it. Go get it during this month and next month. Go get it. I promise you, it'll bless your whole life. Tonight, we're talking about what kind of man are you? And this book will help you to become the kind of man that you want to be, if you want to be the kind of man who gleans from and manifests the fruits of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. As the word says, against such there is no law, as it is shown there. You made a really good point about men having accountability partners and the importance of that being men holding other men accountable for actions, for behaviors, for expressions, for how you are managing your wife, your children, your home. Like you said, no man likes to be told what to do by another man, from what I understand. My dad was real, he's that real hard Bayesian man. But like, ain't no man gonna tell me how to do my, because you ain't in my home. But I wonder,
I hear the Bayesian accent already. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder, how many men, when you have that closed off mindset, and while it may be justified, but it can also come from, and I love my dad. I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a mama's girl. Trust me. I love my dad. Rest his soul. But I wonder with men, when that kind of mentality could come from that prideful and egotistical place, we're just going to call it what it is. And we shut down. How much better would you be if you opened up to hearing another man's perspective, allowing another man to pour into you from their experience? It's okay to say that, you don't know something. I think men have been, you've been put in a position where you have to know everything, and if you don't, it's like a strike against you. So that point of accountability from man to man, I thought was really interesting, because when women try to hold men accountable, it comes off or is labeled as nagging. Do you agree?
Well, it depends on the man, right? So you said a lot there, and I want to be very clear. Since it's Juneteenth, we're going to celebrate Black joy. So I'm going to say this from a Black perspective.
On.
Right? So you got brothers that have, we got the OGs, right? Original gangsters. But sometimes those OGs are not people you should listen to. Sometimes just because you have some old heads, but some people are just old. So just because you're old doesn't mean that you're wise. So a lot of times what happens is some men are miseducated by older men to learn. They learn how to treat women because they say that their daddy or their uncle was a Rolling Stone, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more than just having a tribe of men. You got to have a tribe that's going somewhere. But we're talking about fruits of the Spirit. Let's talk about fruit, right? If your fruit is like gossiping, there's nothing productive. If your fruit is jail and all kinds of stuff and criminality and being a baby daddy and not a husband and sowing your seed everywhere, not taking care of your kids, but you have a whole bunch of them, that's not the fruit I want to produce.
Right.
So a lot of times our young boys can be led astray to the wrong voices. So it's a very important and that men have the right voices around them, the right tribe. Where are you getting your information from? And sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think it's so important for those of us who've been through to show the right examples, because you'll never know, one day somebody might need your example, the good and the bad, for them to prevent them or mitigate from them making the mistakes you made. It's okay to say to somebody that I made mistakes. I had to say to my son, I made a mistake. I've made mistakes. And even some mistakes with him and even with my daughter, and to say, I apologize for that. And I don't want you to experience what I've experienced. Right now, my son, he is, when I say my son is in love, my son is in love with his girlfriend.
Okay.
Took to the prom. You know how I know he's in love? Because I don't know what it is, but my kids, my son's 18, my daughter's 16, they just love old 90s R&B. And I'm like, why am I hearing Isabel playing Pretty Brown Eyes by Mint Condition?
The real stuff. It's real
I'm
stuff.
like, what? Dad, you know this song? Dun, dun, pretty. Dun, dun, brown. Dun, dun.
Come
I'm like, what? And then my son, his girlfriend called on the phone. He was with me in the car. And you know what his girlfriend, the ringtone is for his girlfriend? All of a sudden I'm hearing, ooh, ooh. I'm hearing Angel by Anita Baker.
what you know.
What do you know about this? You weren't even born. You were born in 2007. That came out in 84.
Right. You didn't even thought about
I was giving my son a high five. I'm like, go ahead, son.
it. Feel deeply. Right. Feel deeply.
Like Angela Winbush, yeah. So I'm like. So with that being said, I really admired my kids for those things, and and they must have learned that from their dad, because I love music. But it's really important to be honest with our kids, and because they're watching, and other people's kids are watching and wishing that their dad was like you.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for us to have a good tribe. And with that, ladies, let me give you some game. If you're single and you're talking to this man, don't ever get with a man that has no friends. A man that has no male friends, that has no tribe. And if their friends are all unhealthy and toxic, keep stepping.
That's it.
A man that can handle his business will be able to handle yours.
That's good.
Don't ask him for nothing. Don't be with the man who's quick to love bomb you with gifts on the second date. He won't be able to maintain that. Look for the things that money can't buy. Yes, I'm going back to my book. Love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness. Look for those traits. Now, you don't have to be a Christian to read this book, but these are universal principles that are also in the Bible. So you need to find someone who has joy in their life. Are they always angry at everything? Yeah. You need to find someone who's long suffering. One of the worst things that you can do, ladies, I'm assuming most of the people in your audience are ladies. The worst type of person that you could ever
We're mixed.
date. Oh, we're mixed? Okay. The worst type of person you could ever date is someone who does not know how to be long suffering and does not know how to forgive. If you have somebody
Good point.
who holds grudges and is petty. One thing I hate is petty men. If you have a man who's petty or you see petty traits, that ain't 522. Somebody who has no self-control, somebody who isn't kind. Forget preaching and Christianity, just basic things. You know, in this society, if I can just say one more thing, in this society, manhood is defined as how many people you can step on. Look at politics. If I just have the bravado and I say that I can do, I'm not going to mention any names, but you know who I'm talking about. I'm not trying to get you, you know.
Thank you. Well, we get it.
You know, not trying to get ice and all that. Anyway, but ice is for your drink. But as
we don't need nothing else.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, yes, it goes with both sexes, but today, Paris, I'm talking about men. But one of the things is that you want to be able to see these traits, regardless if you're a Christian or not. They're universal traits. Society says men need to be loud, need to step on people, it's how many people you can sleep with, how many cars you have, how many toys you have, all these different things. But most of these men are hollow and shallow and are miserable, and many men are committing suicide with a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to work in your inner man. Yeah. So that way, the qualities that last. You know, people aren't going to remember how many cars you own. They're going to remember the impact that you left them. So that's one of the things I encourage with men, is to work on their kingdom impact and to work on their character. And I need to work on mine too, because God knows I have flaws. I think someone in the chat said, what fruit did you work on first and how? Patience, long suffering. Because I had a short fuse, I had an anger problem, and I didn't deal well with disrespect at all. And to be honest with you, I still struggle with that. But I have to remember that, and now I'm going to go back in my Christian bag, is that whatever anybody did to me as an offense, I did worse to Christ, because it put him on a cross.
That's good.
So if he can forgive me, I have to be willing. And it's not easy, but it wasn't easy for him either. It's important for me to have forgiveness and long suffering in my heart, because he had long suffering and patience for me. So hopefully that answered your question, Paris.
Amen to that. And that's some good stuff. And I hope you guys have picked up the gems that he's dropping thus far. We do have to, I want to make sure to squeeze as much out of him as we could in this time, because he has to hop over to his broadcast tonight. This is my brother, so this is how we do, you know, and we got about maybe 5 more minutes with him. And before we let him go on tonight and continue on the conversation, I want to pause to bring up the panel, bring up our, Thursday night squad, just so that they can share. I want them to take a minute, because they've been sitting in the back and listening in the green room, as we so call it. Tuning into this great conversation as you see them commenting in the chat. And I want them to each take a minute to just share with Gregory their thoughts. Again, this book, The 522 Man, it is through the word, but guess what? It can be used for everybody. And I want to respect Gregory's time, and I got to make sure that I let him go on time. So without further ado, we're going to bring up Sir Eric. Y'all know he is a regular. He's part of the Men's Lounge. We're going to bring him up, and we're going to bring up, you know her, you love her, my sis. She is none other than the amazing Coach Theo in the building. How are you guys doing tonight? How are you doing?
Well, good evening, everyone.
All right. It's good to see you guys. And we're going to get to our normal flow in a second. But before we let Gregory go, because like I said, we have maybe 5 minutes with him remaining. I just wanted you guys to take a minute each to share with him what your thoughts or feelings may have been, or what you've heard so far, and the things that he shared about this amazing book he wrote, The 522 Man. We're going to get into it further even after he goes, because tonight's topic is, what kind of man are you? So I'm gonna start with giving Theo her 60 seconds to come on and share, and then we're gonna hop over to Eric because I want him to hear your feedback before he departs.
I mean, I just love one, first of all, the topic, and just the gems that you were dropping, truly, but also just like what you said, that although this is a scripture, that it really is just life, right? We all should just show up with those attributes. But one of the things I thought of as you were talking was looking at ourselves to say, will we date ourselves? Right? Are we showing up in the way that you were talking, right, with those fruits of the spirits? Because I think sometimes we forget we have all of these expectations for people, right? But then we are not even meeting those expectations that we have for others. So that was one thing that popped in my mind. But I also like when you said define what a good man is, because I feel like so many people for a lot of different things always have, I want a good man, or I want this, or I want that, but they can't really articulate what that is, right? So I definitely appreciated that statement. But I'm looking forward. I have not got your book yet, but I'm looking forward to purchasing your book and reading it. So
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Can I share? Can I piggyback on something that you said? Is that a lot of times, we just celebrated Father's Day, and a lot of times men are measured by their provision and not who they are. So you're less of a man if you don't make six figures, where the average salary of men in this country is like 50,000. The median salary is like $50,000. So I want a six-figure man. You got to be 6'2". You have all these set definitions of what a good man is, and a lot of it is strictly finance. Not to say finance isn't important, but I'm saying that if there are a lot of men that make six figures that will cheat on you, beat you, have no character, will do all kind of things. So it's got to be more than just money. So I think what we need to do is celebrate the men with good character, because when you have good character, the money will come. Or at least it may not be six figures, but you can save. You can be wise, right? Because you got people that making seven figures, and they just, what's the point of making $1 million in a salary, but you have 5 million expenses? You broke with more zeros. So it's like,
I
that's
agree.
why.
I always say, is this someone that I would want to spend my old age sitting on a porch and just talking to?
Yeah.
Right. So
thank you.
So before we go further in the conversation, I want to make sure that we get in Eric, because again, Gregory has to go, and then we're going to continue dialogue and even after this. So Eric, you got about 60 seconds to share your share to Brethren Gregory before he has to hop off, because we want to respect his time, because again, he has to get to his podcast. So come on and share with us your thoughts on this conversation. So far, take your 60 seconds. You have the mic.
I just want to say congratulations on this book. When I saw the title and when the link went up, I was like, I gotta get it now. I had to go get that.
And you did. Thank you.
Yeah, the knowledge that you was dropping is powerful, because a lot of men don't understand what type of man they are. And that's something, it's a trial and error kind of thing. You have to learn from your mistakes. A lot of men, like last week when we was talking about it, a lot of men are not willing to let their guard down to admit their mistakes. You have to have that tribe of men that's going to correct you and so forth. Like you said, you have very few people that you can call friends, that you can call a friend. You have more acquaintances than you have friends. I have a tribe of friends. And when I say friends, this is what I was trying to teach my son. My friends have been around 40 years, because we go all the way back to public school, junior high school. So it's the same circle of people that I've had in my life. That is my tribe. I've had my best friend, Eric, since we've known each other. We're business partners. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother. So he can count on me for anything. I can count on him for anything. We're going to correct each other when we're wrong in our relationships and in life. If, growing our kids up together. If he's wrong on something, I'm going to correct him, and he's going to accept what I'm saying to him, just like I have to accept what he's saying to me, because it's a correction thing. It's not something for you to get angry about. You have to learn to accept what's being said to you, and not take offense to it. So yes, thank you for this book. I plan on reading every page of it, and I plan on talking to my son about this, because he needs to understand the 522. He needs to understand that. Just like you said, your son is in love. I want my son to be in love, but I want him to be in love for the right reasons. I don't want you out there sleeping with this one, sleeping with that. I'm not bringing you up to act that way. I'm bringing you up. Me and your mom are bringing you up to act godly, to know right from wrong. You know what's right from wrong. So you have to correct. You have to you're going to make your mistakes, but you have to correct them also. And you can't be mad at the person. You have to be able to forgive that person.
I don't want to cut you off, and thank you for that share, because it's important. I wanted Gregory to hear from my panel, because I know he has to go. Again, he has to hop over to his channel. So Gregory, I want to give you space to give your final thoughts and comments. Just trust me, we're going to keep dialoguing about your book, because it is it's a beautiful kickoff to this conversation. And, of course, brother, I want to thank you for coming on here and for sharing. You know how we do. We show up for each other. So the mic is yours. Before we have to release you, I don't want to, but I want to get in trouble, so I'm gonna let you go so you can come back.
I'm just gonna say this and just lean in on what I'm about to say. Something I said in the introduction of the book before we even get in the chapters. Just because I want to encourage that brother that's listening, or the lady who has a son who may be down on themselves because of a mistake they made or whatever. Just because you may have failed at something does not mean you're a failure. As long as there's breath in your body, you can get another chance. You may have to go through some hard times because of your choices, but I am a living testament to he will never leave you nor forsake you, right? As long as there's breath in your body, there's hope. And as we can conclude with Juneteenth is all about joy, Black joy. And joy comes from a relationship with God, and knowing that even though you make a mistake, you still have your family, your friends, and most importantly, a God that loves you. So that's my share for tonight. Thank you.
Gregory.
Be encouraged. Be inspiring.
What is that you got on? Come on, tell the people where they can find you. We have it in the chat with the information of Pamela Publishing, where you can go buy his book. And what's that? And other products, is that correct?
This is one of the other products. You can get shirts that just have this simple message on it, motivation moments. You can go, I have mugs, hoodies, unisex t-shirts, and ladies t-shirts in different colors, and they're affordable. They're not like, Gucci, where you have to, get $200 for a handkerchief. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Today is about celebrating Black joy. My wife and I have this publishing house. So it's a Black business, woman-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned. So support us, and as we do this kingdom work. Thank you. So you can get your shirt and look as fly as me.
Come on. Boasting it. Well, we thank you, Gregory. I love you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, sis, I adore you. Y'all, come on, support my brother. Go get this book, The 522, man. I'm telling you, it will bless you. Ladies, men, women, read it, everyone. Go get the nuggets you need to be better at showing up and determining what kind of man or woman are you. All right, so thank you, Gregory. His information is going to be up for a while. We're going to support you. We're going to keep doing business your way. All we have is each other. And listen, y'all, look forward to them coming back, because him and his wife, I'm bringing both of them, across the street to come on and talk about this power couple and power building, what you can do together. So thank you, Gregory, for your time. I appreciate you, brother.
You. God bless you all. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
I hope you guys enjoyed my brother Gregory Bloomfield coming on tonight and kicking us off. This 3 weeks have been nothing less than amazing. I don't know about y'all, but I have to give it to the men. Men folk, y'all have showed up and turned out this month. I don't know. May was mild with us ladies. I feel like we was playing with it. Like the men, they're trying to stay, they're trying to show us up a little bit. I'm not sure what's happening here. But it's been a great month so far. So I just want to pause to spin it back a little bit because we knew our time with Gregory was limited. So now we can slow the pace down to kind of get into the Lady Dawn B groove. So happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. I'm your girl, Lady Dawn B. And it is Thursday night on the Bravo with Sheila Network. We are celebrating our men this month. We didn't want to just give them Father's Day, but they are worthy of all 30 days in June. Is it 30, 31? And then some. I don't know, whatever calendar says, that's what they worth and more. Okay, whatever it is. So we appreciate you coming in and joining us tonight. I didn't do all our normal announcements in the beginning because I wanted to make sure Gregory had time to come in and share. But as you know, here we have free, open conversation and dialogue. We are not coming on as professionals, although some of us are licensed counselors and clinicians and therapists. But when we come on a Thursday nights, we just come in and have real talk with real people for real resolutions. We're coming to glean from one another, and we're sharing from the well of our experience of life. As always, our number one rule here is respect, because while we are not a Christian-based network, most of us, our moral compass, when we come on the panel, we are believers, so we will be referring to God as our moral compass. It does not mean that whatever your moral compass is not respected. We are open to everyone, and we want to hear your thoughts and feelings and opinions, and we just ask that it be done respectfully as we do the same. We want to grow together, right? We want to open up our minds to different perspectives and learn something maybe we didn't know before and understand how we can get along a little bit better than usual, right? So we just ask that everyone would do so respectfully, as we will be doing respectfully. And if at any time respect is found, whether it be in the panel or in the comments, our wonderful moderator, who is amazing in the YouTube street, she's number one of all, and we got her here. And Kenya, she will gently, politely remove you from the comment section, or be escorted out the building. We do have security. So, just saying. So just wanted to make that clear again as we pause. We want to welcome everyone in on tonight. We have part of our Thursday night squad. Sir Eric is in the building, and so is, Coach Theo, as always, in the place. We had Lady Zinja here. We had Pastor Sheila was here with us. We have my sis Celeste was in the building. I think she's still here. My other sis, Paris Von Thomas, is in the building, of course. And also I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. My girl Happyology is in the house. Veranda, hey, bestie. That's my bestie, y'all. I love her. She is in the building on tonight. And oh, goodness, it's not a Thursday night until Vaughn, the Invisible Man, Eric, shows up. Blessings all, as he always says. And he's like my nemesis. We fight. We argue. Sometimes we yelling at each other like an old married couple. But you know what? That's my guy. He's what's up. And, we hash stuff out in the end, So I appreciate him. He gives me a run for my money, but, I give him a pushback for his. So we're good there. And we want to welcome everyone, those of you who purchased the expensive seats up in the silent section. Welcome you in on tonight also. We don't see you just yet, but we want to tell you can come on down to the comment section. It's safe. We have security. Nobody's going to hurt you down here, I promise. But we appreciate all of you. If you could do me one favor, please, ma'am, please, sir, just hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. See, look, here he goes. He is in agreement. I tell no lies. Von Eric and I, we go at it. We will we will strip a topic to its bare bones and then some till it's like hanging on a string. We get down to the get down. But that's a good thing because I think we both learn a lot, and we are able to glean from each other. So I appreciate him so much. And I think he just likes to fight. So yeah, that's okay too. But we want to welcome everyone in. But again, if you would, ma'am, please, sir, hit that thumbs up button. It is so appreciated. Tonight, as we've continuing in our conversation, again, my brother Gregory Bloomfield was just here sharing on his book, The 522 Man, which he references from Galatians 5:22, talking about the fruits of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And these are fruits or characteristics that we all need to have in some way, shape, or form. But because we're focusing on men this month, and our topic for tonight is, what kind of man are you? Without some of these things, and you don't have to be a Christian to be, to partake in this or to learn from it. They're basic human principles and basic human characteristics that we all should be carrying. None of us are perfect. We know this. We all struggle with things. But this topic also comes from the fact that I hear this a lot from women in conversations, and I feel like we throw this out more than men do when we're saying, I want a real man, or a real man does this, and I had to roll my neck with it because that's how people, right, Veranda, that's your jam. Right? What kind of man would I be? Oh, it ain't 8:30. I'm sorry, let me bring myself. It's 7:51. I'm starting early. I was turning the corner early. But we hear this comment about a quote unquote real man. And what is that? I honestly find that women, when we make this statement, it's usually rooted in our anger, our disappointment, and our frustration. That all of a sudden, this person who was your everything at one point, now you found out the human side of them, or we've found out the human side of them, and how they move in certain situations. And all of a sudden, we are no longer satisfied. We're no longer happy, and we're frustrated. And this is not to bash anybody. We just keeping it real. Y'all know, we say what we say. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Often when we use this statement of looking or needing a real man, or even a real woman, but we're talking about men this month, it's usually coming from the place of our hurt. And that person is no longer a real anything. And that's partially our own fault. Veranda says, amen. Yeah. And if we're honest with ourselves, he was a real man when he was doing everything that you wanted him to do. But he no longer was a real man the minute we got disappointed, the minute he did something hurtful, the minute he did something out of character, the minute he did not meet up to our expectations, or whatever it may be. So I want to ask you guys, just like I asked Gregory, what's your take on this statement about a real man? And this changes for everybody. So I want to start with Eric, since you're the gentleman in the group on tonight. So, and then we're gonna go to Theo. So when you hear this statement, does that bother you? How does that make you feel? Like, what does it make you think of?
It does bother me because when you say, I want a real man, what exactly, what exactly are you asking for? What exactly are you asking for when you're asking for a real man? Because the man that you're with now, you chose to be with him for a reason. So when you get into an argument, has your reason changed now for you to say, well, I want a real man? I was a real man when you accepted me for the way that when I approached you. So now I'm not a real man because we're having a disagreement on something. Did I hurt your feelings in some way? If I hurt your feelings, tell me how I hurt your feelings so I can correct me. But don't try to hurt me by saying I want a real man. Because the flip side of that could be, well, I want a real woman. Maybe you're not a real woman. Maybe you're not cooking. Maybe you're not cleaning your house. Maybe you're not getting to work on time, or you're complaining too much over something that's little. I'm a real man. I cook, I clean, I grocery shop, I do laundry, I do all of that. But don't come at me. Well, you know, my last boyfriend. I don't care about your last boyfriend. Your last boyfriend is your last boyfriend. You left him for, or he left you for a reason, or you left him, and then me and you got together. But now me and you are together, but you're trying to compare me to your last boyfriend. I'm not comparing you to my last girlfriend. So there has to be some sort of balance.
Mm.
There has to be some sort of balance.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the greatest I think one of the biggest problems is definitely how people define, right? How people in their minds what is a real man, right? And in some cases, a lot of time it's like like the author said, right? It is tied to material things as opposed to characteristics, right? But I think also it is attached to individuals who have not done the work on themselves to heal, right? So they're bringing some type of past hurt, trauma, disappointment into a relationship, right? And so that is to the point you're making, it leads to them wanting to compare the person to what someone else did in the past, which at some point they decided that that person wasn't the right person, right? And so I think a lot of it comes down to, first of all, us doing the work on ourselves. Like I said before, right? It's just really thinking about. I remember years ago, a friend of mine said like this is what she wanted in a man, right? It was like he had to have make six figures, he had to drive a certain car, he had to live a certain place, and I was like, being who I am, I was like, well, you want this individual to have everything that you're not, right? You're still living home with your parents, right? You don't drive a luxury vehicle. You're not making six figures, right? And so it's also putting these, I think, expectations on people that you don't even have for yourself, right? But also tying yourself to things that can change. You can meet somebody making six figures today. They get laid off tomorrow, right? They're making zero. So now
Mm-hmm.
you have based your relationship on the fact that this person makes a certain amount of money that of no fault of their own, they no longer are earning. So what do you do now? Right. And so I think it really just comes down to how you are defining, right, what a real man is. I don't basically I've never really heard it said like that, but I basically don't like that term, right? Because I don't think that there's such a thing as a real man, a real woman, right? I think I love the 522, right, reference, because I do think it comes down to how are you showing up in life as an individual? What are your characteristics? Do you have integrity? Are you honest? Do you have self control, right? Like, I think that is truly the key to a long lasting relationship because, as we know, life happens. And what are you going to do when life happens? If this is your mate, right? Are you able to pivot? Are you able to support them during the good times and the bad times, right? And so I think character matters the most. I think that's for me, integrity, honesty, loyalty, right? How you showing up? Are you kind? If we go out to a restaurant, how are you treating the wait staff? Because I'm looking at that. If you're rude to the person that's serving us, we might not have a second date.
Right.
Right.
So I think those things matter.
And I agree. I agree with what you both said. Um, one of the things when Eric was speaking, the things that you were running down is more sounding like whether our expectations are met is what makes a person a real man. Technical difficulty, so it may be a little sketchy. But you know how we do. We keep it pressing, trying to work through. We work through it because that's we ain't no punks here on the Bravo and Sheila Network. We soldier through. But it seems like it's based on expectations. You know, when our expectations are met, and when our expectations are met, everything is great. When they're not, all of a sudden, all the work that person did before all of a sudden becomes null and void. Now, I don't believe that that's fair, but that's really what happens. So we have to examine, are my expectations realistic? And is there wiggle room for a person to grow in that expectation? I may not get it right the first time, but when you shut me down, all of a sudden, I'm not a real man or a real woman. Like, whose fault is that? You know, and then that doesn't encourage me to want to press forward and become something different or show up for you differently, because now you've added insult to injury, you know, in your statements. And it makes me question, you know, were you authentic from the beginning? What were your real thoughts about me? So let me read some comments in the chat, and then we're going to get back into this conversation. Veranda says, I looked for a man that stuck to their word. My husband still does 17 years later. You go, Nick. That's what I'm talking about.
That's great.
Hold it down, Nick, the real estate guy. Okay. That's who he is. Paris. Or was he a real man? Were we thinking we could change him? That's a very good question. Again, those expectations, 9 times out of 10, we know what we're getting. No matter how much you dress it up, you can put a dress on a pig, it's still a pig. You already know. You know, you can sit at the table with a fork, spoon, knife, and napkin. It's still going to be a pig. It's going to revert. And I'm not calling anybody a pig. Just an example. Saying it is what it is, and we know what it is when we get into it. But we go in, a lot of times with that mentality of, oh, I can change him. And I'm going to be honest, I've done that. I've had that mindset. Shame on me. I'm reformed now. You know, y'all know that's my word, is reformed. I'm better. But I've had that mentality that, oh, I could just love him better. Oh, I could just support him to better. Oh, I could just, you know, because he just needs, and he just knows, sis, he might need it. But he doesn't need it from you, because we can't change anybody. He needs it from him. A person is only going to go as far as they choose to go, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, you can't love me to better if I don't want to be better. If I already believe I'm at my best and I'm satisfied where I am, you know, then I'm not going to grow any further than that. So that's a really good point, Paris. Paris also says, I always tell women when they start complaining, you chose him. There was something that made you love him. Don't forget to self-reflect. Amen. I'm big on self-reflection and introspection, because there is something that shows, and this is where also trauma bonding comes in. Because we start looking for the wounded so that we can try to make them feel better. And then that gives us a sense of feeling fulfilled, because it satisfies my need to be needed.
It's so true. I was going to say some people have a savior complex, right? So they feel like I could save this person, right? I could make them better, right? And then you get in this situation where you're like, oh, what happened, right? Because you could only.
Was she frozen?
Oh, I thought you was frozen too.
I thought I was for a second. Theo, you frozen, mama.
Oh, I said it's their job to work on themselves.
Right. And that's the thing. We have to, and you have to know that a person is working on themselves. You know, it's one thing to partner with someone while they're working on themselves. And partnering with them doesn't mean doing it for them, but you be the encouragement, you know, for them. You be that helper to them as they're going through it, and don't push people past where they want to go. You know, you got to let people find their way in their time. Zen just said, Paris, that's good. Paris said, yes, the savior complex is a problem. Zen just said, Theodore Carter, facts, defining it on temporary things, character matters. Character is real big. And Zenja also says people's definition of a good man or woman tend to vary based on their situation and need. So we have to have our own definition for what it means to us. And I agree with that. It's going to change, it's going to switch up. What you feel is good or real at this moment as we go and as we grow. Because I believe as you work on yourself, you no longer have to look for somebody to fill your needs.
Yeah.
Because you're taking care of those.
Let me give you an example. The NBA, the basketball wives. Most of those basketball wives became wives because they were groupies first and wanted this basketball player and found a way to get that basketball player. But look at the flip side of this. You see women looking for the come up with a basketball player, but you don't see the reverse with that man. You see what I'm saying? Because it doesn't have the same effect, so to speak. When that basketball wife is looking at that husband, she's looking at him because he's doing 6, 7, 8 figures, and that's her retirement plan. Let's just put it like that. That's her retirement plan. Because when you look at most of these wives, they weren't doing anything before they got married to these husbands, and a lot of times the husbands married them because they were pregnant, and they was having a child by this basketball player, and the basketball player figured it'd be the right thing to do. What's this basketball? What's the kid that looked like Zion Williams? Williamson, I think his name is. And so he got caught up in a situation where he got a girl pregnant and figured that he had to stay with her because they were having a child together. So now you done got this girl pregnant. That's her retirement plan, because now you're gonna be paying 6 figures a year in child support. And you're not just paying for that child, you're paying for her lifestyle. Because you got her accustomed to a lifestyle before she got pregnant. And now you got to continue that lifestyle for her and the child, which always baffles me. Why is it that you got to give child support of $100,000 a month for a child that's 6 months old? That child don't know nothing about this lifestyle. But you know what I'm saying? It's an imbalance.
Yeah. But just to piggyback off of that, I once heard this man who was being interviewed say, right, just real talk, right, just regular everyday man, how and I do believe this happens often, right, where a woman meets a man and she knows he makes a certain amount of money and she's fine with it. She's in love with him and everything. And then they get married and they're moving on with their life. And then she decides, I want to move to this expensive area, to live in this expensive house, right? And now he's no longer a good man because he can't maintain his household. And in his mind, it's like, when I met you, you knew how much money I made, and I'm able to take care of you on that salary that I was making. But now that you want to move and elevate into this other situation, your expectation has risen. And now that I can't meet that, you now say, I'm not a good man. Like real life experience. Like I actually heard a man speak that, that was his real life experience. And I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, that happens too often, that women will date a man and say they're okay with whatever, because in their mind, he has potential, right? They have said that he has potential, and there's this expectation, I think, like Paris said, that I could change him and I can make him be at this level and I can make him do something different. And now he hasn't risen to that expectation, and now you want to cut him down.
Right.
And I think it's also, I just want to interject one thing. So as we're talking, we understand that it's not all. This is not the summation of everyone. We're not pointing fingers. This is conversation that we're having. We're not name dropping and all of that, but we are bringing up known information. So I just want to make that clear, because we're not saying that everybody, because we can't speak to a person's motives, or their heart posture, and group a whole bunch of people in that. And I'm not saying that we're doing that. I just have to make that clear.
Yeah, definitely. It's not everybody. It's some people.
Right. It's not all. It's some, we're a mixed breed, and it's good and bad and all,
We are imperfect people, but sometimes we expect people to be perfect. And that's an impossibility. Right. So I think when we put our expectations on other people, it just always leads to a not so great situation.
Right.
Well, I find that we expect more from others so that we have less to fix about ourselves. Because the more that you do, the less I have to do, and that gets all of us nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So I wanted to read something as we're talking about this ideal of a real man. And as we're saying, what kind of man are you? Men, and I'm going to make this statement, and I would just encourage you, and this is something that I would tell my son. A woman doesn't make you who you are. You are the man that you decide to be. Yeah. And ladies, I know that may bust a few bubbles, and you can't kick me out of the women's club, because that's just who God made me to be. So I ain't going nowhere. But it's the truth of the matter.
It is.
Women don't make you the man that you are. So when we're asking, what kind of man are you? You decide what kind of man you're going to be. And if a woman does not or cannot accept the kind of man that you are, don't try to squeeze her into a spot that she doesn't belong in, because you want her, because her eyes are so pretty, or her legs are so thick, or whatever it is that's attracting you. Acknowledge the attraction, enjoy it, bruh, but don't bring it home. Because again, this is situations where men will compromise for something that looks good on their arm versus someone that is good for their heart. And for your life. You owe that to yourself. So I want to read something as we're talking about this thing about a real man, so that we can, let me read this comment first, and then I'm going to read this. Paris says, I do think that the men also choose the women for arm candy too. It's not always about getting pregnant. And that's true. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, you have to be mindful of, what you're getting. Yeah. You get what you pay for. At the end of the day, and that's all things. You get what you pay for. If you buy a cheap pair of shoes, guess what? Don't expect to get 6 years worth of wear out of them. Get the quality, take the time to get the quality that you want that's going to be long lasting. Because them $10 pair of shoes, women, we good for this. Now we could buy $10 shoes all we want, because we switch them up. We don't gonna wear them. These are just now sandals for the summer with this particular outfit. We not expecting to get a whole lot of wear and tear out of them. But we cannot do that with people. But yet we do that with people. Where we'll try to switch people in and out and make you fit into a square that you don't belong in. And in the end, when I cannot fulfill those expectations, like we said before, all of a sudden, I'm no longer a real man. I'm no longer a real woman. Oh, you changed up on me. No, I am who I always was. It's just not cute to you anymore, because now we've gotten through the novelty of relationship. Now we're getting to the point in relationship where it's time to put in the work for us to now, we got to work past potential and put in that work to make it product so that something can manifest. So I want to read this. We talk about a real man, the qualities of a real man. And it says, a real man is characterized by a combination of, and like I think it was Eric who mentioned, or it might have been Gregory, about, the 6-pack and the 6 figures and the cars and materialistic things. Funny thing is, according to this, a real man is characterized by a combination of integrity, responsibility, emotional maturity, and genuine strength. Mm-hmm. He is someone who embodies respect empathy, and compassion, and who strives for personal growth while upholding high ethical standards. A real man is dependable, keeps his word, like Veranda said earlier, and demonstrates a willingness to protect and support others. Again, the key things about being a real man, and this is for men and women, is a combination of integrity, responsibility, emotional maturity, and genuine strength. What do y'all say about that?
I mean, I think it just goes to what Mr. Bloomfield wrote in his book, right? The 522. It's about characteristics. Because here's the end of here's the real, right? The six abs or whatever you call it, six pack could go away, right? The beautiful face could go away. You when your face is beat, how many people meet someone and their face is beat, they look fabulous, they take that makeup off, and you're like, oh my God, who is this person, right? So I think the one thing for me is, you can't get stuck on how someone looks, right? How it is about character. Like for me, integrity, honesty, like responsibility, self-control, those things go a long way, right? I mean, you want to be with someone who you can grow with. You want to be with someone that you not only support, but they're able to support you as well, right? You want to be with someone. I remember years ago dating this guy, right? Met him. We went on a couple of dates. We were vibing, whatever. He lost his job, right? I'm like, okay. He got laid off. Someone was like, oh, why are you still with him? I'm like, he got laid off. That's life, right? He's still able to take care of himself. He's still able to do whatever. I mean, and so I think that's what some people have to think about is why are you with the person that you are with? Because I think like Paris said earlier, right? Some of us choose people and then we forget you chose this person. This is the person you wanted. So now you need to take a step back and figure out what has changed about, because have they really changed? Or just what you want or what you expected or what you would like them to do? Has that changed? So that's what you need to take a look at. It is that self-reflection.
Right.
But the other thing is, like I said earlier, look at yourself. Have you changed? Right? Are you someone that, like I always say to myself, would I date me?
Right.
What areas that I need to work on in myself, right? Because I can't expect someone to show up in a way that I'm not showing up in myself.
Right. And, I think to add on to that, and then Eric, I want you to jump into, let me read these two comments and I'm going to piggyback or add to what you said. Paris said that was a great definition, what I was reading. I thought it was too, because I think that our men need to hear it from this side so that they understand, so that, because women, we say stuff that hurt and affect our men, tear them down, like, and we do it like it's nothing. We really have to stop doing that. No one is perfect. Everybody has a past, and I cannot weaponize your past against you. So men need to know what a woman thinks of you is not necessarily the definition of the man, the kind of man that you are. Some women will never see the greatness that you are, not because you're not great, but because they don't have vision for it. I said what I said. I'm gonna move on to the next. Normally Pastor Sheila would be like, no, let that breathe.
You should let that breathe though. Like you should repeat that, because that is definitely a statement.
It is. I'm gonna try to say it how I said it the first time. Women's thoughts of you are not what makes you the man that you are. Your greatness, if they cannot, just because they cannot see your greatness, doesn't mean that it is not there. It's because they lack the vision to see it. So it's not you. You are the man that you make yourself to be, regardless of your past. Yep. So not exactly the way I said it, but you know how I meant it. All right. Next comment is, oh, wait a minute. Zen just said, that's real. We lack vision. We lack the vision. Sometimes I cannot see in him what someone else sees. And I think that since we're here, I think that that's important to know, because if you're my man, I don't, listen, I don't need everybody to cheer and high five and tell me, oh, he's, that's the one, and blah, blah. I don't need that. What I see in you is what I see in you. I don't expect everybody else to see that, because everybody does not have the vision to see you how I see you, nor should they, because what I see in you is personal and is sacred, and it's for me to pick up on, not everybody else. So don't let every woman and any woman tear you down, men, because they lack the vision to see what you can become. Now, I can't do the work for you in what you can become, but I can tell you what I see, and let that encourage you and push you. Paris says there are a lot of false expectations, and then people get disappointed. Right. Your expectations are not my fault.
Nope.
They're not my fault. If I did not, you may have a preset expectation of me that is from your perception and your perspective. It has nothing to do sometimes with who I am and what I am. I'm going to tell you, I know for me, I will tell you, this is who I am. This is how I am. This is what I do. I'm very transparent. I will keep it real. I don't like to make promises that I cannot keep. Men get frustrated sometimes. I'm finding, I recently, started dating again, or entering into that dating space, and in having conversations, with certain men, they tend to get frustrated about things when it doesn't go their way, because I'm not making you a promise that I can't keep. Well, bruh, I'm not going to tell you that it's who I am, and this is where I am today. And I'm not going to debate about it, but I'm being honest, because I don't want you to set an expectation that I can't fit, and then you blaming me because your next thing you're saying is, well, you said that you was this, then you was that. No, I didn't. I never said that. That's what you said. I corrected you. You didn't like it. And that's what we do as women too. Men, what my angel says, a person shows you who they are, believe them. Ladies, we cannot force our expectations on men. I need to be able to accept you how you are and who you are today. Knowing that, not limiting you just to who you are today. Not saying that you can't be better than that tomorrow. But knowing that if you don't get any better than who you are today, I will still accept you, love you, and respect you just the same. And it has to work both ways. Come on in, Eric. What's your thoughts? And then I want to read something else about the qualities of a real man.
So my thought is this: me as a man, I uplift myself on a daily basis, regardless of whether my wife tells me that I'm a great man or whether I know I'm a great man, and that's what I have to instill in myself every day when I wake up in the morning and I look in that mirror, that I'm great no matter what anybody else says. God has made me this way. This is the way that I'm going to be. So men have to stop being in their feelings, basically. Stop being in your feelings. And I'm saying that as a man. Stop being in your feelings. And listen to what, if the woman's trying to give you advice on something, listen to that advice. If your friends are trying to give you advice on something, listen to the advice. You don't have to follow their advice all the time. But if they're giving you advice, they're giving you that advice for a reason. Because the advice they're giving you is to help you, not to hurt you. If they're your real friends and family, it's to help you, not to hurt you. So realize that.
Right. And ladies, knowing that, we have to be mindful of the advice that we're giving or the assistance that we're giving and how we're giving it. You know, let's not tear our men down. Be mindful of how we are expressing and what we are expressing. Let's not let it be from a selfish place. So another thing I want to read about this, Paris says exactly, you don't have to follow it. And you don't, you know, she also says some people cannot handle the honesty, then you are not for me. That's right. Every bit of honesty doesn't have to be an insult. Like, it's not insulting. It's just me being honest. You know, and how you handle that honesty, how we handle each other's honesty makes the difference in how we move forward. You know, it's a process. When you're dating and you are, you know, in the process of trying to become one and forge this relationship, you know, you have to have patience and grace and give each other that space to let's walk into this slowly. Like, I can't just drop myself in your life and just all of a sudden, ta-da, and I'm here and your whole, like, you know, world change.
Yep.
Has to be that perfect combination of you and I. Go ahead.
Right. You start out with the dating prospect because you're dating to find that person. So when you find that person, you're not dating anymore. It's a relationship. It's a partnership.
Well, courting, as some folk call it.
Right. You're courting, and it becomes a partnership. And my wife have a partnership. I don't do anything without mentioning or asking her, and a lot of times she don't do anything without asking me. Sometimes she jumps the gun and she does do things because she, you know, at that moment she might say, well, I booked the trip for us because the trip, you know, the splitting it, you know, the cost was half the price or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, okay, fine. But don't go making a decision on, well, I went and decided to go buy this car without discussing it with me first, because of the fact that a lot of times you have that partnership, but a person's not going to research as well. Like, I'm an in-depth researcher. If you're going to go tell me that you're going to purchase a car, I'm going to ask you where you getting the car from, and whether it's used, new or used. And then I'm going to research and see if I can find that same car for a lower price with a better incentive deal and everything. When I bought my first car, nobody advised me on it. I went and got it and so forth, which I went up there for a totally different car and came out with this car. And I was like, ugh, I didn't come for this and all. But what happened was, it was so much talking and conversation between my wife and the salesperson that I wound up signing papers for this car that I really didn't want. So I was like, I was stuck.
So you gotta trust your mate in their area of expertise.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's what you have to do. Like you said, it's that partnership. And if you know your mate, you know, then we can put our opinions in or our thoughts and throw in what we would like. But, you know, we got to know when to yield to each other to let that person make the best decisions possible, because we don't always see it. And ladies, we can't always, you know, because we're spoiled. You know, we become spoiled, and men try to give us what we want, even if it's not what y'all want, because you want to see us happy. Because when we're not happy, happy, you know. So, you know,
happy wife, happy life.
But I think
happy spouse.
But I think it comes down to something that Eric said, right? Like, when you're dating, right? It's a process, and we've Dr. Lane has said this, right, so many times, right? It's an opportunity to collect data, right? And then you move into that relationship phase. But I think something that we forget is that as much as we get to know someone, we never truly are always going to know everything about somebody, right? Because we're growing, we're evolving, we're moving. And so I think we also, at some point in relationships, that's where the communication really becomes key, right? Because as you're growing, as you're growing, as you're getting older, as you're moving and evolving in this relationship, you're gonna start to learn new things about your partner, right? Things that as they're going through something, right? One thing we always say, right? You want to see somebody in every season. You want to see how they react when things don't go their way. You want to see how they react if something makes them angry. You want to see how they act when they're joyful, right? But you're not going to always see those things up front. So you have to recognize that something may happen that has never happened to them before. And now you get to see another side of them, right? And so you have to be open to really, like Dawn said, is that grace, is that communication, is that understanding, it's that really being able to pivot and respect, right? That you and your partner may not always agree. And what happens when that happens? How do you manage that? How do you deal with that? Right? What's the agreement that you have come to when we are in a situation where we might not be seeing eye to eye? Are we going to say, okay, let's table this for now and come back to it? Because I think sometimes that's important as well.
Yes.
What are the rules of engagement?
Yeah, and that you do have to have that conversation. And these are things that we have not given language to in the past that we need to. People think that, oh, that's unnecessary. And I hate to say it, but this is true of our culture. We're like, oh, we don't do that. Well, that's why we in these crappy relationships that we are in, because we don't do that. We don't do the prep work, the things and make it something reasonable. We don't have our escape plan, so to speak. We don't have one in place. And when I say escape plan, it doesn't mean escape plan as in breaking up the relationship. I mean escape plan as in we don't have any rules of engagement set for us to go back to when we have these disagreements, when we have these things that come in that could break up our relationship. What's the escape plan? What tools do we have that we can go to that are fair for both of us? Because parting with each other is not what we want. We want to part with the problem, not with each other. So we do have to have these things in place. And women, we have to let our men be men. I want to read these two comments here real quick, and then I want to read something else. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation on tonight. This month, we have been focusing on our men. I want to mention it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I didn't say it in the beginning, but I will pause now to say it. Ladies, let's make sure that we find some time, some place, some way this week to love on our men in an unusual way. I'm not talking about buy him a tie or, get him a new spatula. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking sometime, don't buy him a new tool for the shed, but take some time to do something personal for him that he might not do for himself. How about treat him to a spa day? He may be like, that's girly, but you're like, but babe, you need it. You need to go relax. You need to go take a minute. Just have some time to yourself. Take the kids out. Let him have a day to himself in the house. Take the kids out. Send them to your mama, somebody's mama, anybody. Well, not anybody's mama, but someplace. And just pamper or minister to him that night. If that means you sit on the couch in your pajamas, don't say nothing. Bring him his favorite snacks. Turn on his TV. Set the shower for him, whatever, and just let him be at peace. Then do that. But find a way to love on him, whether it's your husband, your boo, your man, your son, your uncle, your grandfather. Do something that helps our men to have a moment just to regroup and recalibrate. Can y'all do that for me? Please do. I took some time out again to pause and call my son and say, hey, you good? He's like, am I in trouble? No, you're not in trouble. He's like, I don't know. Am I good? I'm like, I don't know. Are you? I said, this is just a self-check. I'm pausing to check. Are you okay? Is there anything on your heart, your mind, anything you want to talk about? Are you feeling any kind of way? You feeling a little anxious? Doesn't matter what it's about, but because those check-ins are important. Sometimes we have to pause to just, I'm not talking to you as your wife. I'm talking to you as your friend. Are you okay? Let's make that a normalcy for our men. Paris says, definition of advice, guidance, or recommendation offered with regard to prudent future action. but I can't make you see my point of view. Sometimes we all have to learn the hard way. That's true, but I would say this: in relationship, learning the hard way is not the best way. Learning the hard way is the quickest way to destroy the relationship. We want to try to avoid, and you're absolutely right, Paris. Sometimes learning the hard way, is the way that we have to learn. But I find it in relationship, you have to be mindful and not selfish, because it is not just about you. In a relationship, when you're learning the hard way, you are taking someone else with you. And it's hard for that person to love you back after you have taken them to hell, and or a situation that is unnecessary. You know, we both don't have to fall in the ditch for us to get the point. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just saying, like, I'm not really trying to go that route. Paris said, Lord help me when I get married, LOL. You be all right. You're going to be all right. Because the one that's for you is coming. So he's going to know how to handle and manage that. And you trust me, and you will want to shave off those things like, oh, let me not do that because, you know, I don't want, you're going to want to keep him. So you're going to want to do, you know, what you need to do. You're going to be all right, sis. I promise you. She's like, makes sense. Yeah. In a relationship, don't look to do things the hard way. Listen, I'm trying to be better. I am. I'm really trying. I've done my self-work. And like I said earlier, I realize in now getting out into these spaces of conversations with people and dating spaces, I'm started, you know, for a minute, certain people just making me question and like, okay, did my work really work? Because, you know, in my eyes, I'm great. I'm like, I'm fantastic. What you talking about? I'm the best date ever. What? I would date me. Of course I would. You know, but the reality is somebody else on the outside might be like, I see you've done some work. But now when we hit that hard brick wall, like, are you going to trust me? Are you going to bend? And I'm like, I'm not sure.
You're not ready. You're not ready for it.
But also I'm sorry. On how they're asking you to, because listen, you're going to bend for the right person.
But see, let me tell you something about me though. Just be honest. I don't know that I would, because I'm still, and so I'm in my ways. You don't have to,
okay, so you still got to do some work.
Wait, Eric, you don't have to shake your head so hard. Wait,
you are fucking somewhere.
Eric's head's gonna fall off. That's how hard he's shaking.
Fall off, right? But no, but I'm honest. But listen, I'm honest about me, and I'm learning to put language to it and say it's not that I don't want to, but I'll be like, listen, I see what you're saying, and I'm gonna try. But
that's the great thing is you recognize it, right? Because that's the first step. You recognize that that's something you still need to work on.
But
right, and I'm like, okay.
But as a man,
go ahead.
Okay, that person recognizes that you still got some stuff to work on. But as a man, we're not supposed to push you. We don't have to push you to make the correction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'll be like,
and let you take your time in making that correction. And if the man truly is interested in you and loves you, he's going to wait until he's going to see the correction.
But I think that also comes down to right. This is the point where the man has the ability to say, I'm gonna step back and give you an opportunity to work on that, and then we can revisit it, right? But what happens sometimes for men and women is rather than saying, you know what, maybe I need to step back and let them work that situation out, we go forward with it, knowing that the person still got to work on this thing, and now a couple of months later we're frustrated because they still how we knew they were when we jumped into this thing.
Right, but you can't put a timetable. You can't put a timetable on a situation like that.
You can, but that's, to me, I think that's when you have to make the choice of whether or not you want to stay in this or you want to step away. And if it's meant to be, then it'll be.
Right. So let me just add the caveat to this. Paris said, "Why did Eric pause in deep thought?" That's what I'm saying, Paris. But the truth is, like, you know, he knows me well. We known each other for a long time. But I have come a long way in my stubbornness. It's still there, but I've come a long way. I'm like, okay, I get it. Paris said, Dawn is almost as perfect as I am. I'm just saying, exactly, Paris, exactly, almost.
Well, listen, Paris just, Lord help me when I get married. So come on.
Right. So I gotta though. We're partnering here. Zen just said, becoming is a lifelong process. I'm reformed. Remember, y'all, I reformed. Now, the caveat to what, right. The caveat to what Theo was saying is this. In those moments where it might be, because it's after 8:30, so we left now, y'all. But in those moments where it might be that moment to pause, to say, I'm gonna step back and let you work it out, and figure it out. And no, a man cannot push you or should not push you, nor should a woman. But the thing is this, I will not get you stepping back for me to work it out. Actually doesn't help me work through the process, because I've gotten through as much of my self-work on my own as I can. Now I have to put my self-work into practice with a partner. So I need you to stand your ground and to do like Eric said, which was, give me space to work through it, but I don't necessarily need you to back away. Just give me that space to let me work it out. Because how else can I work it out in relationship other than to work it out? I got to work it out, as Pastor Sheila says, you got to walk it out in shoe leather. It's just a lot of times it's, are you the person that I want to do this work with and for? Can I trust you while I'm doing this work? And it's going to vary depending on what the situation is and what's happening. Because like Zen just said, becoming is a lifelong process. But I realize, like I said, for me, and I am very self-aware, I've taken my time, and that's one of the things I'm like, okay. And I realize that there's some things that come with this. There are things that come with relationships that you just have to learn how to navigate. Because, back in the day, I'd be a runner and a track star. Listen, child, I'd be out in the minute, like, chuck my deuces, I'm out. And I have to learn how to, I don't argue, I don't do all that. Like, we're not doing that. Zen just said, absolutely, Dawn, you can work it out in the relationship. Right.
But I think that's the key. It's in the relationship. I'm not working it out with you and we just dating.
Right. You have to, we just dating, bro. We have a lot like that.
Yeah. So that's the key. It's in the relationship.
Right.
But I'm just saying that from me being a person that learned that, right? Trying to work something out with someone, and we were probably still kind of in that dating phase, right? Which if I had saved myself, I went through what I went through, right? So
it's true, but this leads, also.
I think that is the key in the relationship.
Yeah, and you have to, you gotta be or find a person that you say, I don't want to keep quitting.
Yeah,
I want to work it out. I want to work through this, but I need you to partner with me to do so. And then when it's your turn, I'm not going to quit on you either. We have to have that balance. And this kind of also leads us into the thought or topic of what kind of man are you? Are you that kind of man who has the wherewithal and the capacity to stick it out with me through my rough spots, through those patches, to help me become the better woman that I need to become for myself as well as in this relationship? I want to read these last few things and then we can kind of wrap it up for the night. This has been great conversation. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. Again, the 522 man, I'm telling you, it is a good read, everyone. I've had the book for a while, and Gregory and I were going through it. We couldn't even get through the whole book. We had about 2 or 3 interviews where we was going through the book. We couldn't even get through the whole thing because, when you hit that sweet spot where it's like, this is the hard spot where we need to really pause and talk to give people some nuggets. Paris says, if you don't work it out while dating, will you make it into a relationship? I think you have to have enough work done before you even start dating. And then as you date, you find out how you flow with the person before you get into the relationship. I wouldn't lock into a relationship with somebody that I did not feel could hold me down, emotionally. I'm not through all the other stuff. I don't care about all the stuff. Okay, just plain. I don't care nothing about how well you have sex. I don't care nothing about how well you pay a bill. I don't care how nothing about how many times you go see your mama. No, because I'm not your mama. My bills are paid, and sex can cloud relationships, but emotionally, are you able to hold me down? That's what makes the difference. So, kind of man are you? The characters and values, I wanted to add more details at the qualities that define a real man, and I think this is important. Zen just says, yes, some things are on individual journeys. Yes, absolutely. Some things you got to do for yourself. Don't show up in dating spaces when you're not ready to date. There's a certain level of self-work you have to do before you can even entertain the thought of sharing you with somebody else. But I want to add these other qualities that define a real man. And I think that is really important for men and for women, so that women, we understand we stop throwing around this term a real man so loosely. And so that men, you have something solid that you can go by, so you can understand that you really are a real man. When somebody asks you, what kind of man are you? I'm a real man. Why? Because I have integrity. I'm responsible. I have emotional maturity. I have genuine strength. Some of the other characters and values are, again, integrity, respect, empathy and compassion, humility, courage, responsibility, loyalty, emotional stability, self-awareness, dependability, confidence, kindness, generosity, that you are purpose driven, and that he has a sense of direction and a clear understanding of his goals and values. I think that is key, that you are protective and that you are a servant leader, that your servant leadership, the way that you lead, you want a woman to follow you. How are you leading and where are you leading? And that's that he is willing to put the needs of others before his own and serve those around him. And I believe that when that happens, it should be reciprocal. When you serve someone, they say thank you, and that thank you goes a long way in making you want to serve them again. And as they're serving you, we become grateful, and then we want to return the favor. So it should be that reciprocal wheel. It says that these qualities, when combined, contribute to a man who is not only strong and capable, but also compassionate, reliable, and respected by those around him. And I believe that that is what every real man wants, to be respected by those around him for the characteristics and qualities that he holds. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to share your final thoughts and comments concerning this topic. What kind of man are you, and these qualities of a real man? So I'm going to start with Theo, and I'm going to let Eric have the last word, since he is the male holding it down on tonight.
So I'm going to take it back to the question that Paris asked Mr. Bloomfield, and his answer, right, which was, what is the fruit of the spirit that he started working on? And I just love, first of all, I love the question, but I just love his answer, right? That he was able first to identify what fruit he still needed to work on, and said, this is what I chose to work on, which was the patience and the long suffering, but then followed it up with, I'm still working on it, right? And so for me, I just thought that was great, because it demonstrates what you said, someone who is self-aware, right? Someone that recognizes, right, these are the characteristics that I believe a real man should be, but I know that these are the areas that I still need to work on, and I am working on. And so for me, I think that is also important. And I'm not going to say in a real man. I just think that's important in a man, right? Because that's who we're talking about. I think it's important for both sexes, but because we are talking about men, I think it is important for you to be self-aware, to identify the areas that you still need to work on. And so I just look forward to reading the book, because like I said, he dropped so many gems, but I think for me, that is something that stuck out to me, that there was no hesitation when he was asked, what is the fruit of the spirit that you had to start with? and he was able to clearly identify that, articulate it, and then state, I'm still working on it.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for your shares, Theo. Always awesome. I love these conversations. Zenja, Mrs. Bloomfield, his equal partner, says, great show. Great show. Thank you so much, Lady Z. Come on, Eric. Something happens when men speak. Give us your final thoughts and comments on tonight. Represent for the Men's Lounge.
Yes. So, this was a very great show. The topic, excellent. The guest speaker, excellent. You, of course, excellent as always. I'm just going to say this. Men recognize what type of fruit you are. And work on it. I know I'm not one fruit. I'm a few fruits. I'm a few
You're not fruity. You're a few fruit.
Right.
Fruit.
Right. I have a whole tree of fruit, and I'm working on a lot of it. I'm still working on a lot of it. And at my 57 years, I'm still working on it and everything. I got a lot of it under control and everything, but I want to complete my journey. I want to complete my journey, and I want to be free of the stuff that's burdening me down and everything. Find you a male friend to confide into and ask him. And seriously ask him. If he's a real friend, he's going to tell you what kind of fruit you are. I confide in my best friend, and we confide in each other. I'll tell him what kind of fruit he is, and he'll tell me what kind of fruit I am. And then we come up with ways where we can work on correcting them and everything. He's not my spiritual advisor, but he's just like a spiritual advisor because the advice that he gives me is spiritual. It is spiritual and everything. And I appreciate his friendship of 40 plus years because that's my brother. That's my brother's keeper. I look out for him. He looked out for me. We've kept each other out of trouble, a lot of trouble. So, I sit down and talk to your kids too. Talk to your kids. Talk to your kids. You'd be amazed on the wisdom that your kids have, especially on a topic like this. The 522 man, and what kind of fruit am I? Sit down and talk to your kids. My son's 23. I'm going to have a conversation with him about this. And we're going to have a good conversation. We might have to go away for this. Me and him need to cry together. That's what we need to do. As men, we need to sit down and have a conversation and cry together and get a lot of stuff off our chest. So I can't wait for next week. Can't wait to see what you have in store for next week, though.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you have in store for next week.
Yeah, this has been.
Well, always have something. Always have something. I love it. Want to thank you, Theo, always Coach Theo, for being amazing. And Sir Eric, you already know we thank you for how you hold it down. Listen, Thursday nights is the best night of the week. I love it. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And thank you, brother Gregory Bloomfield. This month has been amazing. Go get your book, The 522 Man, because he will be back to talk about it. It is in the chat how you can purchase it. Go get you some 522 Man gear too. Come on. And then show up. Let's show up when he comes back. We'll get him and his wife back in August because she also has a book. You see what I'm saying? See, don't tell me I don't support it. I'm a supporter for real, okay?
I got my paper back.
You see what I'm saying? So I didn't even talk about my own books. That's all right. It's more about it. I'm supporting everybody else. Now, with that being said, June has been amazing so far. I want to thank Melvin Phillips, who came on with his book, I'm Divorced Now What, in week number 1. I want to thank Justin Wilson, who was on with us last week, who has his book, Courageous Vulnerability. It was a banging show. I want to thank my brother, Gregory Bloomfield, who was on with us tonight, talking about the 522 man. What kind of man are you? Now, you don't want to miss next week as we wrap this up. Why? Ask me why, because I heard somebody say why. So I'm going to tell you why. Because, thank you, Eric. I'm glad you asked. We are going to have, we love this segment when we do versus. The ladies' room versus the men's lounge. It's going down, the women and the men. What we going to be talking about? So our topic is, who does that? Who does that? I don't tell you who our special guest is just yet, but it's going to be somebody good. Now, you're going to have to tune in to find out who does that and what is that about. If you know me, you know our topics are never what they seem. Right? There's always a spin, and don't forget, 8:30 is the time when the gloves come off and we turn the corner. Make sure that you tune in and come and invite a friend. Bring somebody. You can always catch the replay, but invite a friend, tune in, and beat us there. All right. So good night, everyone. Have an amazing Friday. Happy Juneteenth. Enjoy your freedom, Black people. Okay. Enjoy it. Have a great night. We'll see y'all next week. Hang tight, crew.
Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, they pushing me to progression. Like I'ma make the rest of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life. I'ma make the rest of my life.